I started doubling down on my strengths, which was obviously fitness and social media, and that's when you see progress.
The answer Tomas and Larry probably wants.
Showing people what I was eating and the way I was training.
You could see the fans behind the goal going absolutely crazy.
What the Gary Vee say, hustle until the people are mocking you asking for a job.
Welcome back to Season 2 of the Frankly Nuts podcast.
With your hosts Joe Loftus and Kevin McCarthy.
Our podcast looks to delve deeper into the minds of those who have a story to tell.
We hope to bring you long-form, open and honest conversation.
We've always said that each guest brings something different to the table.
We strive to bring you content that may give you that little nugget of information you never heard before. Maybe it gives you that push to start that project you've been putting off for a while, or maybe it just gives you a laugh.
Before we start the pod, if you're listening on audio, we just want to ask if you could subscribe or leave a review.
If you're watching on YouTube, we'd ask that you hit the subscribe button or maybe hit the bell. You'll get a notification when our next podcast is up. That would be sweet.
What's up everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This week again we want to give a big shout out to the sponsor, the West Cork Beard Company.
As you know guys, we've been using these products now for a number of weeks and we absolutely find them fantastic. We're all about here supporting local, and why not go out and check www.westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
This week on the podcast, right, if we could ask you to watch one podcast or listen to one podcast that we've ever put out, would you go as far as saying
all time? It
would be this one. Okay, it's with a guy by the name of Conor O'Keeffe, an ultra runner.
Yeah, endurance athlete.
A man who has, I suppose, sought discomfort in life and has seen and reaped the benefits of it.
Yeah.
So we'll get into the episode, I suppose.
Yeah, I know we've said it so many times, we're hyping it, but honest to God, this is one to be watched.
Yeah,
so
we'll
check it out.
Get into the episode. Thanks very much.
Conor, usually I can introduce the guest, but I feel like I wouldn't justice, like give a good explanation of what it is you actually do. So do you want to introduce yourself and tell the people what you do?
Yeah, I suppose I am a fledgling ultra runner. I recently competed in a race known as the Enduroman Ultra 200 mile running race.
Yeah.
And the race hadn't had a finisher since 2016, and
Jesus Christ.
There was only one man to finish under 60 hours until I actually ran it and became the first finisher since 2016 and became the second guy to do it within the 60 hour limit.
Fuck.
That's a strong start there. That's a strong claim to fame there, like straight away.
This fella's fucking a crazy motherfucker.
Oh, thank God you cursed, man. I curse all the time and I'm delighted now. So that's just like free license.
Away,
yes,
don't worry.
Crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, we won't make money from it. It's grand, like we curse away.
we don't make money in it. So yeah, like
endurance athlete is what I'd like to. Beyond even endurance, like fucking.
Yeah, I suppose I'm new into the whole thing. I've been doing it for about 11 months.
That's all.
Yeah.
And you became the first finisher since 2016.
Yeah, man, like you've no idea. I'm the one who's I'm the most surprised of anybody.
Yeah.
Like I suppose where it all kind of started was the start of this year.
Okay.
1st of January, you know, you're out on a heavy New Year's Eve session. Woke up, I was still in the clothes I went out in my bed, in my shirt, stained with Guinness. And I just sat on the edge of my bed, man. I just knew that something had changed.
Yeah.
New year, new you almost.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you know what? No, I actually. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. I had those like New Year, new me, you know, seasonal cleanse ideas before, but I just knew that this time was different. I don't know what it was. That made it so, but I just knew that it wasn't going to be something that was like, a couple of months I'm going to go hard at something and then I'm just going to fall off into it again. I knew that like in the mindset that I was in, that it was going to be something that was going to change my life forever.
Yeah.
I had no idea like the lengths that it was going to take.
Yeah, you didn't know the story it would take you on. Like
of course. I had no idea at that time that I was even going to enter a race or that I was going to do anything like that.
Just wanted to kind of make a change, like.
Yeah.
And I suppose in terms of running, did running then kind of become the vehicle for you to kind of make that change and I suppose change how you were feeling? I suppose you ran a marathon last year, I think I'm correct in saying that, and also a 100 mile race last year.
I did. So I suppose that was my first 1st of January cleanse, waking up, new year, new me, I'm going to run a marathon. And so many people do it, like, which is a fantastic thing, you know, that people get it into their minds, I'm going to run a marathon. It's a fantastic thing to do. It tests you, and it's a great thing to achieve. So I did it, but I was never in the why. I only dealt with the how I was going to do it. I was going to do it by running a lot and training a lot and just going for my evening runs, never really pushing myself out of the comfort zone too much, but training, like I would have done. I've been training for since I was about 16. I was Thai boxing for a good number of years at a fairly high level, a national level, and international level, I suppose. But I was training, and all I was focusing on was the how I was going to do it. But I never focused on why. Why was I changing? Why did I want to, you know, stop drinking or cut the drinking down or eat better or get into a training regime? Why did I want to do it? And so when I did the marathon, the first thing I did was I went out and slugging pints straight away. I finished up. I barely had the medal off my neck, and I was out on the pints. And
like everyone else.
You know, this is one question I got. Did you go out that night? It's the first question you could ask. Like,
you were telling me before we started that you haven't drank since January. Which is fantastic. You know, and like it's something that you've obviously noticed the benefits in your life, that you know that drinking was taking something away from you, maybe, and you've noticed that you've been more productive since, which is fantastic.
For me, every drinking session was like 2 days out of my life. The next day and a half, and I'm not even joking, you might laugh, but the next day and a half.
I can say that you're telling the truth. Like, I know that
you can attest to this.
Yeah. So when I go out in a session, nearly, I would say 7 sessions out of 10, I would have got fucking hammered, like. Just to do it.
Yeah,
when 7 out of 10. I was 11 out of 10.
Would have got hammered, and then the whole next day, like, would have just spent it in bed, and then just the only thing I think about, I wouldn't think about the crack I had or anything. I think about, geez, you did this last night. That was like embarrassing, or fucking.
You overanalyzed what happened the night before.
Overanalyzed, and just thought about the negative things I did, and just fucking self-loaded on that. And it just, like, you know, just kind of the thing of, this has to, like, this isn't doing me any good, like, you know, I'm going back into work on a Monday,
There's no
I'm still
benefit
feeling
for you.
shit. And then there was just no benefit, and then I was just like, I just don't have to do this anymore. So
I can definitely relate to that, man. Because like the physical aspects of a hangover were gone after a day, 2 days. But the longer lasting effect of it was this mood that I was in. It would depress me. It would send me down this kind of spiraling road where I'd be questioning a lot of things about myself. Things that, like, you know, really didn't even make much sense or whatever. But, you know, because of this depressive state the alcohol had put me, because, you know, most of the times I would go 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, you know, and as you said, I could never, like, go out for a couple of pints. It just wasn't me, you know. It was go hard or go home, and that was it. And it put me into these states of mind where even when I was training for the marathon, when I first started, I'd go drinking, I'd go out in a mad session, and then I'd be down for 5 days. I wouldn't run a mile. And it would just completely put a halt to everything that I had kind of, you know, woken up with that pith and vinegar inside me on the 1st of January. It was all gone once a couple of Guinnesses had their, you know, way with me, you know. And so I finished up the marathon, and I was talking with a buddy of mine, Mark O'Mahony, great friend of mine. He's also an ultra runner, a newfound ultra runner. And he and I were speaking over lunch, and I was just saying, you know, I was actually talking to him about David Goggins, who I know you guys know, and probably a lot of the listeners know as well. Talking about him and what he was doing with his life, and was just how so different it was, you know, and how much sense he was making in what he was saying. He wasn't really trying to motivate people, and I'm very much similar to that. Motivation dies. Motivation is a very fickle creature, and if you find purpose, if you find meaning to something, it'll last a lifetime. It's not going to die off. It's not going to die off on you. So we were having this chat. We were inside in the Elm Tree out in Glounthaune. Plug there for the Elm Tree.
Free promo.
Free promo there. And we were there having a carvery. Quite nice, actually.
How bad?
Beautiful restaurant.
Actually a lovely spot. And I said to him, I was like, on a whim, like everything in my life, I goes, check, is there a 100-mile race on in Ireland? Is there a 100-mile race on? So he checked. He's like, "Oh yeah, there's one in 7.5 weeks." I said, "Book it for the two of us there, and we go do it." So we booked it, man, and we had no idea what we were getting into. Really, it was just such a kind of a, I don't know, it was like thinking back at it now, I've done an awful lot of thinking over the last month. I think I was searching for something to cling on to like
Looking for a meaning almost. Like,
yeah, I was, but I never actually thought upon that any more than I did at that time when I booked the marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I trained harder than I did for the marathon, but I still drank.
Yeah.
When I drink, I used to smoke cigarettes. I was smoking cigarettes and drinking Jameson a week,
Like 90%. Yeah.
a week before.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
A week before this 100-mile race. Like, what
And it
was I
wasn't
thinking,
phasing
like,
you in your
know?
head when you were doing this. It wasn't saying, fuck, I have a 100-mile race this weekend. It was just...
No, I had
Okay.
this weird, absolutely foundationless confidence.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no evidence that I was going to be able to do this race.
Okay. But
So-
you yourself thought, this is fine.
This is grand.
Yeah.
This is fine. This is what I've done every single time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the thing is the reason why I was allowing myself this balance was when I was fighting, I lived like an absolute monk.
Okay.
I read a book years ago called Four Kings. And it's about the four kind of kings of like welterweight boxing at the time: Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, and Tommy Hearns. I was absolutely in awe of Marvin Hagler, right?
Okay.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler, undefeated until his last ever fight. He used to put himself into what he called jail. So he used to put himself into jail months before his training. He used to live in this like one room house, train every single day, no drinking, no women, no smoking, no nothing.
No distractions. Like,
No
yeah.
distractions.
Yeah.
Just the fight. Just this ill will pent on his opponent. And I just found something amazing about that. And so I would do the same.
Yeah.
So 8 weeks, 10 weeks, sometimes 3-4 months before a fight, I would be in jail, and I just wouldn't allow myself to eat bad. I wouldn't allow myself to drink. Smoking was something that was just wouldn't even have thought about in a million years. And I did that for so long, and I had no balance in my life. I missed out on an awful lot of, like, you know, college nights out and rag week and freshers week and all these type of things when I was doing that. So I think I was really, when I got into running, I was like, this is kind of a part-time thing. Do you know, this is kind of
Bit of a
part-time.
hobby, like,
yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I can run, I can drink, I can smoke, I can do whatever I wanted within that. And I still had that mindset going into the 100 miles.
Yeah.
I did it. It broke my fucking heart. To finish that race. I finished in 28 hours. You got a 30-hour limit to do it. I finished in 28 hours. When I got across the line, I bawled crying anyway, because my emotions were just completely on
All
a
over the place.
different roller coaster
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah.
Finished up, absolutely died, passed out from the pain of my knee and my ankle, passed out. Woke up in my Airbnb with a foil blanket over me. The reason why there was a foil blanket over me was the blanket was too heavy. It was crushing my legs, and I was screaming in pain without me even knowing. I didn't have no idea what this was happening.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought, out of all that, you'd think, Jesus, I should have prepared better for this. But in all honesty, I thought, I just did 100 miles.
Yeah. Look
No,
at me,
I just did 100
like,
miles, like, do you know what I mean? And I was just completely then just... I think about 4 hours after I woke up, I had a can of Bulmers in my hand, and I just tucked into cans, and you know, it just kind of became normality again.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
4 months of debauchery followed, culminating in my brother's wedding in December, which was probably about an 8-day session, through all the way through till New Year's, and then.
That's when you woke up then and
Then I
said,
woke up on the 1st of January in 2019, and I was like...
And from there, I suppose it changed from how you're going to do things to why, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, even doing the 100 mile, still crazy feat. But
Yeah.
even while doing that, you're still probably just thinking about the how. How am
Yeah.
I going to do 100 miles? And then
Yeah.
celebrate it after, and then forget about it.
For sure.
And do whatever.
It was sheer stubbornness
Yeah.
that I got through the 100 miles. It was just sheer, I am not going to fucking quit doing this. Because I had told my dad, who I had emulated for my whole entire life, you know, your dad is your hero, like, you know what I mean?
you look up to him like, yeah.
Exactly. And I just told my dad, I was like, I'm going to do this 100 miles. And he was like, you've done 7.5 weeks fucking training, Conor. Do you think you're going to be able to do it?
Yeah.
I said, of course I'm going to fucking do it. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about loads of things. We were raising money for Pieta House again at the same
Very
time.
good.
So that was another thing where I was like,
Have to
you know,
do
we
it
raised
for it, yeah.
3.5 grand. We wanted to raise 500. And we raised 3.5 because people were like, these guys are going to do an amazing feat.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that during it. I was thinking about all the people that had donated. I must have cried 10 or 12 times, I'd say.
I can relate to that as well, and I'm not even trying to relate to the 100-mile thing, right?
Yeah.
But as I was saying to you a couple of weeks ago, I did the marathon, and in the last 10k, right, I'd say I, under my sunglasses, cried 5 times.
Yeah.
At one stage, I was crying, this is the most painful fucking thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
I'm never going to fucking do it again. I fucking hate running. I'm never going to do it again. And then at other stages, I was like, you can do fucking anything.
Yeah.
You can do fucking anything.
It's just like a roller coaster of emotions.
And I was just thinking about my like you were saying, your family and stuff.
Yeah.
And even that, like, so for 100 miles, I must say that must be amplified. And I couldn't get over the roller. I couldn't control those emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it
No,
was just
not at all.
weird.
Did the
Not at
support
all.
of the people around the places? Like, I read your blog that you put out about it. Like, you know, they were
Yeah.
saying, like, well done. Like, did that make you upset then as well? Like, you know, just these random people giving you
Yeah,
messages.
well, as I
like,
said with that, like, I was like, how the fuck do they know my name?
Yeah.
Like, go on, Joe. Like, random people shouting, go on, Joe. And then I was like, fuck it. About 5k go, I was like, it's written on your fucking race. I was like, who are all these fucking people? Like,
I was that nutcase in the marathon that you
Yeah,
just ran.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was nutcase screaming,
Yeah.
go on orange top marathon,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
on red top marathon, man.
that makes a fucking
It
difference.
makes a huge
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
And I learned that from when I did the marathon, when I
Yeah.
did the Cork City Marathon, which is an unreal marathon. It is fantastic,
Yeah.
you know. And it gives you such a boost.
It's
doesn't it? It
unbelievable.
gives you such a boost.
I was saying to
man.
my dad, like, I was like, fucking fair play to these people who are doing this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know if I could go and do it. Like, there was
Would you
plenty of
stand out
people,
to- yeah.
plenty of people who would have just went on their own as a supporter of the marathon on their own and been fucking roaring their heads off. And I was
Yeah.
like, my dad, how are they doing that? Like, I don't know, would I put myself out there like that and just be
Yeah.
that encouraging? Like, maybe I'd go along and watch, but be that encouraging. And he's just like, they get it. Like, you know, he's
Yeah.
like, they've been on the other side, they've done the running, and they know the effect it has. Like,
What you'll realise if the more you delve into the ultra endurance community is
Yeah.
everyone wants everybody to finish and do their best.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to push everybody on,
Yeah.
and I learned that especially in the 200-mile race.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just something about the ultra endurance community where it's just like everybody is there to like because.
you don't look down on anyone almost. It's
Yeah,
supporting
it's
each other.
different to a 10k race
Yeah.
where people are looking for times and PBs
yeah.
and all this kind of stuff. Whereas the majority of people that are doing these ultra runs are just there to do it and
Yeah.
finish
Finish.
and get to the end.
To be honest, if you're at the start line, I think you're a winner already.
You
like.
are, you are.
You've
of
done
course.
the fucking. If you're doing a
It's-
200-mile
it's the
race,
courage, you know, that
how many
takes.
fucking miles have you done in the lead up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're a winner
Not-
already. Like,
not enough.
you're a
but
winner
yeah.
already to be there. Like,
Yeah.
you know. And I'd say that plays a
And-
part.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think that was another thing that carried me through as well. All the training and everything for the 200 and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
big time.
And in terms of the training for it,
Yeah.
did it consist of a mix of stuff? So, like, you obviously had your running, long miles. Did
Yeah.
you mix in gym work, kind of mobility, strength and conditioning type stuff with it?
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Like I, as I said, I woke up on the 1st January, absolutely in bits, hungover. 2 days later, met up with my buddy Mark, who ran the Connemara 100 with me in August. Since then, he had stayed on the ultra trail. He had stayed on running ultra marathons. He actually ran a 100-mile ultra marathon in Wicklow. He came like 9th or something, did a fantastic job, and he was in peak physical condition in my own estimation, whereas I had gained about 10 kilos since the race and was just completely out of shape. I think I ran once from the 100 miles to the 1st of January. That's what, August to January.
Yeah.
So
So-
polar opposites, really. Of what- yeah.
Completely. And I talked to him and he said, I'm after signing up to do a 200-mile race actually there in the UK. I said, I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like you're looking at me now. And he was skeptical, to say the very, very least. But because he's used to me, with these crazy schemes, I always want to talk to him into the 100 in the first place, I was a car salesman for a long time, so I'm fairly good at persuading people.
Yeah.
So,
Gift to the gab.
yeah, so I said that to him and he looked at me with a skeptical look and just kind of pushed a bit of air from his nostrils and just kind of scoffed at me. And I knew in that moment that I would be at the start line in May. I knew even before I had typed my car details in and booked it, I knew I was going to be on the start line. And then it kind of leaves you like, okay, how do we train for this?
Yeah, reverse engineer it. Like,
How do we go from 0 miles on a bar stool with your elbows pressed against the bar looking for a Jameson and Guinness to going over and running 324 kilometres in under 60 hours? For me, that was one of the toughest hurdles, was to actually determine what I was going to do. So what I did was the next day I ran a half marathon and took a break day, did another half marathon, took a break day, did another half marathon, took a break day, did another half marathon. I wanted the mileage to be high from the very get-go and my muscles to know that they were going to be in for fucking shit and that they were going to be put through some torturous
Hell, like, yeah.
hell. And I was doing it before work, so I'd be getting up at 4, half 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. I do that every day now, but like back then it was tough, really tough, and it was January. It was cold. It was, you know, it was
Yeah.
bleak, it was grim, it was dark, it was wet, cold, windy.
And this was a half marathon before you even started work.
Before I started work,
Fucking hell.
yeah. I'd sometime, and then as time progressed, then I did all those half marathons, and then I noticed I would do a half marathon, I wouldn't be sore the next day. So I'd start doing 10Ks between my half marathons. So I do a half marathon, 10K, half marathon, 10K. And that's how it kind of started to build up. Now, I was getting sore in different places. And I have a fantastic physiotherapist. I'm going to give him a plug now. His name is Donica Long. Donica Long, and he's known under Fit for Long is his name. That he operates on.
He used to be in Dan's gym,
Yeah.
Gentleman,
Lovely fella,
yeah.
always says hello.
Lovely guy.
When we say we know him, we don't actually know him.
It's like a passing high in
but
the gym.
He used to always be in the gym and say hello to everybody,
Yeah.
so that's how. Yeah,
He's a
friendly
fantastic
Yeah,
guy.
he'd go out of his way to say hi to you, like, lovely
Yeah,
guy.
and an ultra endurance athlete as well. Does Ironmans, and a fantastic guy. Really knows his stuff, very passionate about it, and me and him became really good friends because obviously we have a shared interest in endurance sports. And I came to him and I started getting cupping done from him and dry needling, and he started giving me mobility programs, and then it just changed my whole game. I just every single day I was getting up, I was rolling out with a foam roller every single morning before I ran, and I would do it again after I ran. I would do my mobility work and I'd do my stretching. I'd be stretching throughout the day. I'd be standing talking, trying to sell trying to sell a Ford Fiesta to somebody, and I'd be doing a quad stretch. So you're gonna go for it? So you're gonna go for it? Yeah. And like I was just getting really, really into it.
Yeah.
And so mobility.
Yeah.
And flexibility work was something that I really held in high regard, and strength and conditioning in a different way. Doing strengthening muscles. I did as part of my training. I did 4 marathons in 4 days, to kind of spike up raising money for Pieta House. So I did the 4 marathons in 4 days, and I took a day's break. I think a day or two's break afterwards, and then I ran a half marathon. And then the next day I woke up and I could barely put pressure on my right leg. I was like, what the fuck is this? Went to Donica. He felt around for about 20 seconds. He said, you nearly tore the tendon off of your femur. And I was just like, oh my God, what's this now? Like, is this 6-8 weeks out? What's this? He's like, Conor, this is a really bad injury, you know, like you're really after doing some serious damage. So he gave me exercises to strengthen my glutes. I had basically been running so much that I was pulling my hips forward. My ass was really weak. And so I started doing these glute bridges and things like that, and he got me back running again after like 3.5 weeks. But that was a huge mental test, to have 3.5 weeks where you're not running and you're training for a 200-mile running race.
So in the time frame here now, 3.5 weeks out, when you're back, how long do you have until the 200?
Until the 200, I've
another 3
about
weeks or a
5 weeks.
5 weeks, fuck.
Yeah. About 5 weeks. But you're not really training for the last 10 days. So you've only got a month really of training, like, you know. But I felt after the 400, or after the 4 marathons, that it gave me some sort of a mental...
Like
you could do it, like,
I started to kind of allow myself to maybe believe that I could possibly, maybe in a tiny little way, do it. And I really thought about the mental aspect of not being able to run when all you want to do is run for a huge run that you're going to do. And it had been a mental thing for me way more than physical, because I was saying to you, I was focusing way more on the why I was doing these things and not the how I was going to do it. So the how was running, flexibility work, mobility, strength and conditioning. I was doing a lot of swimming as well, which is really good for getting blood around the body and things like that. And I focused on the why. So why was I getting up at 4:30 in the morning? Why was I training again after work and like smashing gym sessions and things like that? It was because I wanted to be present in my life. I wanted to feel the pain. I wanted to be in the pain that I was going to be in. I used to do wall sits for 10, 12 minutes at a time where my legs would just be shaking uncontrollably and I would be in horrific pain, like lactic acid filling up my legs. And I'd love it because I was there, like, you know, and I was actually like, I felt like I was right in the very, very present moment. There was no thinking about the conversation I had with somebody 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
There was no thinking about what am I going to have for dinner. There was nothing. All I could do was think about that present moment in time. And when I was able to get into that state where I could be present and I could live in the pain, no matter how much pain I inflicted on myself, there was absolutely nothing that was going to stop me from doing anything. So once I got into that frame of mind, it really wasn't even a physical thing for me to do the 200 miles. It was just whatever my head told my body that it was doing, it was going to do. And that was it. I always say that it's like an ECU. I mentioned this in my blog post. The ECU in a car not only gives messages outward to the mechanical moving chains and mechanisms and levers, it also takes messages back from them, and it takes messages of errors and faults and reasons why you should stop the car. What I wanted to do was I wanted to create a one-way system where my ECU, my brain, would tell my body what to do, but in turn my body wouldn't tell my brain when to stop, or wouldn't tell my brain when there was a fault or when there was a problem.
Yeah. You hear Goggins always say most people quit at 40%, like.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I see it so much, like.
I say to
with a
people
lot
all
of
the time that I was probably at around 60% at the 200 miles.
Yeah.
Maybe 50 actually. And people are like, that's just not just not possible. But I really think it is. That's why I've decided to go for this next kind of big run next year.
Yeah, that's exciting. We'll
Speak on
chat
that
about that in a
Yeah,
sec.
for sure.
What I wanted to ask was, obviously you did the 100-mile race. You said you passed out from the agony when you finished.
Yeah.
There was no apprehension on your side to sign up for that 200. Like when your buddy said, I'm doing a 200 there in the UK, you just said, I'll do it.
I'll tell you now, Kev, right? For me, right? For me, I was going through so much mental torture from myself.
Yeah.
In just living what I thought a really purposeless, meaningless life in my own estimation. And I was going through so much, you'd never have guessed it. I'm the happiest, jolliest, making jokes type of guy ever. But inside of it, I was just floating along in this life that I really didn't want to be doing.
Yeah.
There was no physical pain that was ever going to replace it.
Okay.
I was never going to be able to run myself into the pain that I was already feeling in my mind.
Inside, yeah.
So I was kind of almost searching for it. I was kind of searching for the pain.
Okay.
And I was searching for something that would focus me in such a way that I would have to deal with everything that was inside my head at the time. I was thinking back about things that had happened to me when I was 16 and how that made me act when I was 26. I was thinking about things that might have happened to me when I was 20 years old and how that carried through for the next 5 years. And really delving deep into this, because when you get up at 4:30 in the morning, you've already been up at 4:30 in the morning for the last 4 days and you've ran 30 kilometres every day and you're just about to do another 30 kilometres. You shut the music off on your head, which I started to do kind of early on. I stopped listening to music and podcasts and everything while I was running, and I would just listen to my feet hit the ground and my breath. And you can't shut off the internal voice.
Yeah.
It always goes. And when that started thinking about things just started to make sense. It was like I was slowly putting a jigsaw piece down every single time. And that was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it at the time. But I didn't really care about the physical pain that I was going to be going through, because that was going to fade. I was going to recover, like I did with the 100 miles. I recovered and I drank. Do you know what I mean? And so I knew any temporary pain is exactly what it is. It's temporary. Yeah. Whereas I knew that if I was kept going on the way that I was going, and this is not to turn things morbid here.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think I would have lived through the rest of the year. And that's being completely honest about it.
Yeah, raw, absolutely.
You know? So, having changed my life, I've come from this, you know, this guy that really didn't want to be living his life anymore,
Yeah, yeah.
to a guy now where I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I am
Jumping out of the bed.
Beaming.
jumping
yeah.
out of the bed, jumping out of the bed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because like I could be not here.
Yeah, yeah. You've a newfound appreciation now. Like,
Of
yeah,
course.
Yeah.
I say this to my friends, like, I'm more afraid of traffic. I'm more afraid of traffic around the place because I don't want to get hit because I'm loving life so much.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm just like, you know, I've even got more awareness about things. And that seems so weird. But like, it's just, to answer your question, I've kind of gone a long way around it.
No.
The physical pain to me was absolutely nothing.
It didn't matter. Like, yeah.
No,
yeah.
no,
And I think that's evident speaking to you since we've started. Like the appreciation you've found now in life, like since beginning this journey, like is
Big time.
like you can see the smile on your face as you talk about this. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And as we sat here, we said, "You crazy motherfucker!" Like doing all of this, like, but
Yeah.
you know, hats off to you, like for what you're doing, like fucking
Thank you.
hell.
Thank you
You
very
know.
much.
The early morning stuff is
Should we change going to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning before college, and that was tough.
it was
I'd
tough, but would you agree that, like, I would say that for that, how long do we do it for? Maybe 10
10
weeks?
weeks.
For those 10 weeks.
It was the most productive you felt
Yeah.
like.
Happiest I would have felt probably last year. We
Yeah.
fell out of it, but for those 10 weeks, I think there's something about maybe being productive first thing in the morning, and then it just sets up the rest of your day.
Yeah.
The endorphins are flowing,
Yeah.
and you're just fucking. You've just done that productive thing, and then everything else kind of comes to you a bit of a breeze.
Yeah.
And
But
I
it
think
was-
we can agree with that early morning.
Oh, yeah,
shit, like,
absolutely.
you know?
Sure.
And even
Yeah.
it was like having a mini goal every day. Like you were beating, like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was like I've done it.
When
You know,
your
it was
feet
just-
hit the ground,
Yeah,
you've already won the day.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've already beaten the day.
Yeah.
And you think about the things that that happen to you during the day. You might get clamped, or you might miss the bus,
Yeah.
or whatever that case may be, right? These things seem smaller when you're after getting up and you're after smashing a gym session, or you're after running 10 or 15 kilometers, or whatever the case may be, because you feel like you're more able to take these things on.
Yeah.
It goes back to when we were you know, when we were cavemen, let's say, we were built to survive. We were built to test ourselves. We were built to hunt our own food. We were designed to survive.
Yeah.
The comfortable lifestyle that people live these days, where they're not pushing themselves out of the comfort zone, leaves them feeling a bit meaningless,
Yeah.
which is not coincidental. I think we as human beings were meant to feel a bit of discomfort, and
Yeah.
what you were feeling when you were getting up at your 6 o'clock in the mornings and hitting your gym sessions was that primal thing that you can only feel as a human being when you do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I always say it, I run fasted quite an awful lot of times for no reason other than I don't like to be full when I run.
Yeah.
That's kind of the only reason. I wake up in the morning, early in the morning. If I'm going for a 10 or 15 kilometre run, which would be short enough for me, I won't eat anything. I'll have a cup of coffee, I'll drink some water, and I'll go. And coming towards the end of it, you actually kind of feel this kind of, you know, you're getting hungry.
yeah.
And you feel this kind of like connection or something with the more primal part of you, and that thing can be really, really powerful, like, for
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you know.
And to flip it on its head, right? I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever done it, but me in the past, I've often said, "Oh, I'll get up at 7 in the morning now, and I'll run 10k." And how many times have I done it where the alarm's gone off, press snooze, go,
Throw
"Fuck,
the
I
phone
couldn't
away,
be
yeah.
bothered today."
I talk
Wake
about
up
this.
at 10 or 11.
Yeah,
How shit you feel?
I don't know if
Oh.
I've ever had a good day after doing
man.
that. Like,
Yeah.
No.
You feel like a sack
You've
of shit.
already failed about it.
you
do know
have,
what I mean?
yeah.
'Cause
the guilt.
I talk about this. I have the website coming
Yeah.
on board at ConorO'Keeffe.com.
Perfect.
And I have a number of articles that I've written already that I'm going to put on it,
Yep.
but I'm going to open it with a new one, and the new one is called Early Mornings and Other Spooky Tales, and it's the tips you don't think about when you think about getting up early. Like, people would think about, what are tips to get up early? Go to bed early.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Get
Yeah.
yourself some rest. Do you know, turn off the TV an hour and a half before
Yeah.
you go to bed so you can go to sleep. All those things.
Yeah.
I think about things that I talk about things that basically one of them is the snooze versus stop.
Yeah.
When your alarm goes off, I like to put a message on mine. I put TFS down,
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
fucker shit on mine.
Yeah.
TFS, because it reminds me every day that this is not just me involved.
Yeah.
This is everybody that
part-
believes
it's
in
part
TFS.
of the why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's part of the why. It's part of the why. I look at my thing, TFS, and there's snooze and stop, and I click stop.
Yeah.
What that does is it makes you shit your pants. It makes you think, if I go back down and fall asleep, I'll miss work. And then my boss is going to berate me because he's a prick.
Yeah.
that's what it does. It injects you with that fear. You won't be able to settle as much as you do with a snooze. Because a snooze, you're like, it's grand, I'll snooze then for 15 minutes or whatever, and you're back down, and then there's another snooze. And we've I've been there.
Yeah.
You do it 10 times maybe.
Yeah. Oh yes.
It's 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever, 2.5 hours, whatever. You're snoozing. If you click stop, you'll put it down, and there's a part of you that says, I'm going to have to get up here now because I have no idea when I'll wake up.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I always say.
Nice.
So when the alarm goes, hit stop, not
stop,
snooze.
yeah.
Because when you hit stop, it's completely different mindset that you're put into. Because when you hit stop, that means sleep is over.
Yeah.
Even the word snooze, I'm going to go for a sleep.
Yeah.
And you will tell yourself the biggest lie in the entire world that everybody's told to themselves, 5 more minutes and I get up.
Yeah.
You know?
Usual, yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want to start getting up early, that's what you do. You click
Yeah.
your stop and not your snooze, and then you'll be up, man.
Can I guess another tip without spoiling your blog?
Go on.
Lay out your clothes.
Oh, he's spot on, man.
Lay out your clothes the night before.
Yep.
Jocko Willink, have you ever come across him?
I've come across him. I
Yeah.
follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, he's a good follow.
Yeah.
Similar to yourself, he kind of does that.
He just-
He
Yeah.
takes
Puts up
pictures
a
of the
picture
watch.
Watch every morning.
Yeah, half
Yeah.
hour, and I take a picture of the alarm that's set for the morning before I go
Yeah.
to bed, because as I always say to people, this is not a big dick competition for me. Like, this is not look at me doing all this great stuff.
Yeah.
I want to be upfront with people,
Yeah.
and I want to be completely and utterly transparent. This is the time I'm getting up at. This is the time. This is the amount that I'm running. I don't run mad mileage these days at the moment because I'm still recovering from the 200 miles. If I run 10k, I run 10k. If I run 5, I run 5. If I run 30, I run 30.
Yeah.
He's very much a guy. He's very open and upfront about a lot of things, and he's very frank about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But go on, you had a point. All right.
Yeah, no, well, on that, I suppose, by putting it up as well, it adds to your accountability. Like, I don't doubt that you wouldn't do it anyway.
Yeah.
But by just putting yourself out there the night before, it does add to your
For
accountability.
sure, I felt that.
yeah.
I felt that already. I feel like
sorry, yeah.
that when I put it out there,
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be lying to people if I didn't get up.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just not the road that I'm on right
Exactly,
now. You know?
yeah. And fair play for that.
Yeah.
Just the laying out the clothes thing is something he does as well.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I've often laid out my clothes and not got up as well. But,
Well,
yeah.
what I do is it's not just laying it out. There's a few different aspects of it, right? It's kind of almost like a ceremonial thing for me now at this stage, right? Not to talk about it too dramatically, but I have a place and everything for everything. And like, my socks go inside my shoe. My shorts go next to the shoes, and then the top goes next to the shorts. And if I have a Camelback water hydration system, I'll put that up on top of it, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I'll always put it in a place where I can see it from my pillow,
Yes.
and I'll always put it in a place where I have to get out of bed to get at it.
Yeah.
Because I talk about this in the post as well. Do you remember when you were in secondary school or primary school, and your uniform might be on your bed and you get changed under the covers because it's so cold? I've done that before, right? And I just never, like, at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning on a January or February morning, the temptation to get dressed under the covers and then just kind of lie back down is
There,
real.
like, yeah.
So I always make sure that it's away from my bed, and I'm always looking at it. I see my runners now as almost like a presence in my room, where it's like, I'm looking at you, I know what you're saying, let's get them on and let's just go out the door. And once I'm out the door, it's once I put my feet on the ground. Once I put my feet on the ground, I'm not horizontal anymore, I'm up. And then once I'm out, it makes sense. It makes sense why I'm up. You know?
Beautiful.
And I suppose let's I just want to kind of go back to I kind of interrupted you halfway through a couple of questions ago about the 200-mile race. You were saying, you got that injury, you were a month out. Can we kind of go to you being there now, race day?
For sure.
What was going through the mind and at the start? And were you kind of thinking, I'm going to finish this motherfucker, or were you just thinking, let's just do it, let's see how far I can go, let's give it my all, or do you know what was going through the mind?
I had given myself 2 options.
Yeah.
Finishing or being taken away in an ambulance. Those are the 2 options that I had given myself, and that was the way I've operated through a lot of things. There was 5 competitors, so it wasn't exactly a dense field. Like, when people, there was only 5 people that were mad enough to do it, really. You know, we showed up and we did the race briefing. I had no idea then that I only found out at the race briefing that they hadn't had a finisher since 2016, and they really wanted a finisher. And I'm just like, I thought, like, you know, we might have 2 or 3 people finishing or whatever the case may be, but no, like, the entirety of the UK and Ireland are open to this race. Generally, Europe really are, but like, it's mostly UK and Ireland. Nobody finished since 2016. And we got into the race briefing. I was very quiet, and I noticed that within myself. I'm a very loud, talkative guy, and I was very, very quiet. And I'm not quiet when I'm nervous. When I'm nervous, I'm actually very chatty. I was very quiet because I wanted to actually kind of realise what was going on and be kind of right there, as I said to you about the wall sits and things like that, right there in that moment in time and take everything in. I had looked at all these other guys who had done multiple ultras. Some had done ultras to Tunisia in the desert and everything. There were some very experienced guys there. And I thought, I'm in over my head a bit. Being honest with you guys, you know, I did. And I started off the race. I was the slowest by far. I was at the bottom of the 5 guys. I was the slowest. At 78, I had done 78 miles. My compatriot Mark had done 95. And the next guy to him had done 92. And he was a veteran of, I think he had been running ultras since 2009, so he had 10 years. And they were blistering ahead. And although I felt fantastic at mile 78, I knew that I was way behind them. But sorry, I'm kind of getting a bit ahead of myself here.
Work away.
But yeah, as I said, like, when they said that they hadn't had a finisher, that obviously kind of put another thing in my head where, you know, this is going to be, this is going to be the time that I'm going to do it. Now, I never said anything to anybody, I never gave an inkling to anybody that I was going to do it, but I was going to try to the point where I'd have to be hospitalised if I was to be pulled out. And I wouldn't have pulled out unless it was hospitalisation. Unless it was,
you were going to pass out before.
I was going to pass out and not actually be able to move. I'd limp around with a crutch if they gave me one, you know. And that was what the level that I was at. I started off, I was incredibly slow. I was running off my heart rate. So I was trying to get my heart rate under 145 beats. So what that means is I'm in aerobic. So I'm not creating any lactic acid.
Below 60%.
Yeah. So I was running at that pace. It made me really, really slow. But then I noticed when I was kind of in around 83 or 4 miles, people started dropping out. My compatriot, Mark, had to drop out. He actually ended up having a bruised kneecap, which is a very, very severe injury. And everyone else just started falling out. And then there was just me and this guy, Steve Southwell, who was a veteran of multiple ultra races, had been racing since 2009, as I said. And I found it was a weird switch when it was just me and him. It wasn't just about finishing then anymore for me for a small period of time. It was about beating this guy. And this guy was 12 miles ahead of me now, which is a huge gap to cover in an ultra race. And I had just had this ill will on him. I was just willing him to fail, and I was going to beat him, and I was going to take his soul, as David Goggins would say. So I was running with this intent now, and I was after picking up the pace a small bit. I crossed over the 100-mile mark, and a really dense mist set in. So I said, look, I'm going to catch some sleep now. He had the exact same idea. So we were thinking like we both slept at the same time. I woke up, I was actually woken up by my dad. I had no idea where I was, why I was in a tent, what we were doing. I didn't know that I had even fallen asleep. It literally was like I blinked my eyes and I woke up, but I was actually asleep for half an hour. And my dad woke me up, pulled me out of the bed. He actually put my shoes and socks on like I was a 3-year-old boy again, and got me going again. And before I left, I said, will you make sure to do something for me? Will you make sure to tell Steve that he can use our camp as an aid station as well? And his food, my food and my water is his food and his water. And he can sit down at our camp and he can use it as much as he wants. Because I noticed, it was something about when my dad was putting on my shoes, he had no crew. Steve had no crew. I had my dad there with me, helping me to do this. And I noticed how pivotal it was having my dad and having a crew there. And
if he had not been there, like, would you have woken up? Would you have gotten out of it?
Exactly. You know, so all of those things started to come into my mind. But it also started to come into my mind that this was never about beating some guy.
Yeah.
This was never about winning this race. This was never about doing anything other than putting yourself to a test.
Yeah.
Putting yourself on the altar of failure, seeing if you were going to be sacrificed or you were going to be embraced. And I completely switched up. And I actually phoned Steve on the next loop and I said, Steve, look, I'm not racing you anymore. I'm racing my own race. You can use my camp as an aid station, and we're going to try and finish this thing together as best we can.
Yeah.
A couple of miles later, we sat down. It was early in the morning. It was around 5:30 in the morning. The sun was just kind of creeping over the trees, and we were eating porridge. And the race organizer, Chris, came over, and that was when things changed. Because he said, like, guys, you know, you're coming into the last 24 hours. Do you want to finish this thing? Yeah. Do you want to, you know, break through the pain barrier here now and finish this thing? Yeah. Steve, in fairness to him, he was a warrior. He went out in a shield. I think he quit after 137 miles. At that moment in time, I was never so fucking clocked into what somebody was saying in my entire life. I was listening to Chris talk, and it was like he could have told me that the sky was pink, and I'd have believed him. And I just clocked in straight away, and I said, whoa, this is it. This is the moment now where it's not. It's
make or break.
Take the watch off. There's no heart rate anymore. This is just you, your mind, and this course. The course was horrific. It was it was tree roots, slippery wooden bridges. It was gravel pathways, uneven road. It was forested area, and it was a 1.1 mile loop, 182 times. It was insane.
Jesus Christ.
There was a reason why there hadn't been a finisher since 2016. And
mentally, to do that 182 times is frightening. Like,
of seeing that over and over. Like,
I had mapped out where my foot was going on every single part of the track at that point. And I knew what parts I was running, what parts I was walking. I was running all the way through this, which is like, you know, a lot of people would walk an awful lot of things. I was running for about 40% of every loop I was running. Until the third last and second last loops, I had to walk the whole thing. I was in zombie mode. And I got up off the seat right then and there, and I was just like, okay, what do I need to do to finish this? He said, you need to run 17-minute loops for the next 23 and a half hours, and you'll finish with 15 minutes to spare. And I said, okay, I'm going to start running 15-minute loops to 16-minute loops, and that way I'll be able to take a 5-minute break every 7 or 8 loops, eat some food, you know? So, I don't know, man. I can't even explain what happened, really. Like, you know, it was like I was given a new set of legs. It was like I was like a rebirth, and I just started trekking through, man, and everything made sense. My body wasn't even hurting. I was laughing and joking. 170 miles into this thing, I was making jokes with people. I was shouting at other people, like, you know, go on, keep it going. You know, that were people, because there was other races going on, and there was other people, and they were struggling. And I was like, come on, keep it going. And then, you know, they'd see the 200-mile run race thing on that, and they'd be like, Jesus, this guy's doing 200-mile runs. And he's, you know what I mean? He's laughing and joking. But it was weird, man. I never got into a state where I was, until the last like 5 or 6 miles, where I was like in any way in bad form. I was in great form throughout the whole thing, and I just don't know what happened at that time, but I know that I'm able to clock into it now, which is a good thing.
Phenomenal.
And what was the feeling like doing that last mile? You know, knowing, fuck it, I'm actually going to finish this. I'll be the first finisher since 2016.
I started crying 16 loops to go. I started crying, like really badly crying as well. Like, you know, the kind of like disgusting, horrible crying where there's like snot and everything coming out of there and all that kind of crying. Because he was like, you've 6.5 hours left and you've 16 loops to go. I did the maths. I was like, oh my God, I gotta finish. So I was like, okay, wipe the tears now. We got to get this done. And I ran, and it was 1 or 2 in the morning. I was 50 odd hours into this. Most people think about an ultra run, right? And they think, yeah, your legs are going to be in really bad nick at the end of it. You know, you're probably going to have really, really sore feet, sore ankles, sore knees, that kind of thing. They don't think about that. You're going to actually have to eat every 20 to 25 minutes. So my mouth was like a battlefield. It was bleeding, cuts everywhere, ulcers everywhere. My body probably thought that it was dying, so the lymph nodes were swollen to the point where it was nearly closed. I could barely breathe. I could barely speak. I was saying one-word commands like water, food to my dad. I couldn't speak more than that. It was getting really, really bad at that point, and it was horrific, actually, to be honest with you, the last like five laps. And my dad was there with me. He was doing each lap with me for the last 7 miles, and he, in the second last loop, he's a soldier, has been for the last 38 years, and he said, give them a big smile now when you come into the turning circle and let them know that you're not phased.
Yeah.
You're going to do this and you're going to finish it out. And I came in through the turning circle, and a huge crowd had actually amassed to see me finish. They had set their alarm to wake up at 3:30 in the morning so they could see me finish.
Jesus.
And like people that have been doing 48-hour races, double Ironman races, who were in really bad condition, were getting up to see me finish because they'd heard that, you know, there was somebody going to finish a 200-mile race.
Yeah.
And I gave him the smile, and I stepped over the tag reader, and it was just like a rebirth. It was just like everything was gone.
Yeah.
The whole of my mouth, everything, didn't care about it. My knees, which were swollen, aching, ankles, feet, everything were all perfect. And I said, you know what, I'm going to shock him. I'm going to shock him. And I just started running, and I ran all the way around the whole thing, basically the whole loop, came through, ran through the last thing, and jumped onto the tag. And when I did that, man, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it was the best feeling I've ever had in my life. And I sat down and I took it all in for a couple of minutes, and everyone was coming in, oh my God, congratulations, this and that. There was some Irish people there, they offered me cans. I was like, yes, you know, it was class. And then it kind of settled down. But I only really thought about it over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, you've only taken it in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
At how crazy it is, man. You know, like I'm like, humility is a huge part of the whole transformation that I'm going to get through. But I am incredibly proud of what I've done. Allowing myself to be proud about it was actually a big deal. Where I wasn't just, you know, where I didn't want to have like a false modesty about it. I wanted it to, you know, for me to actually really think about the person that I was and where I came from, more so than what I had just achieved.
Yeah.
But as I kind of thought about it, you know, 4 months training and to finish the 200-miler, I was very, very proud of what I've done, what I have done, and what I will continue to do.
Phenomenal, and fair play for being proud of it too, because I think as Irish people it's drilled into us a lot to be humble and to be, whereas I think when you do go on something like that, if you are fucking proud of yourself, fair play, like you've done something that is quite extraordinary.
Yeah. I'm more proud of the positive effect I've had on people. The amount of messages that I've gotten through from people that, like, you know, I've gotten them thinking differently about their life, about how they can take control of their day and take control of their life, and they can make changes. Like, I quit my job because I hated it, and which was giving me loads of money. It was giving me a company car, company phone, everything was dandy and comfortable.
Yeah.
I gave all that up because it really was meaningless to me. It didn't mean anything to me. Money never made much difference to me anyway.
Yeah.
And people who were even messaging me about things like giving up the drink and all these type of things, and they were saying, you're inspiring me and this and that.
Yeah.
And if I had made a difference in one person's life to the point where I had changed the way they were thinking about their life, the way I've changed the way I've thinking about my life, it didn't matter about the 200 miles, more so it was the positive effect that I've been having on people, and I am proud about that, and I hope to continue to do it.
Christ,
you know, I hope to continue to do it.
I think anyone listening to this, like, once it is edited out, obviously, but anyone that's listening to this, like, it's not about the running in a way. It's that you found purpose. You know what it is you want to do, and I think anyone listening to that is going to benefit from it. Like, it just shows. It's
just a physical manifestation of the changes. The running is just the physical part of it, where, you know, whereas it as I was saying about the tough fucker shit about TFS, it's not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, smashing half marathons and 30-kilometer runs, and then grueling sessions after work. It's about that person who maybe gets up a half an hour early to have a bit of time to themselves, to maybe think about things, read a book before their kids get up. You know, maybe walk the dogs before work, walk the dogs after work, make that spinning class, go to Pilates. You know, maybe take a class after work to learn a new language. Or maybe they take up an instrument because they thought, oh, geez, I'd love to learn an instrument. Those are the things that I associate with TFS, with tough fucker shit, is getting out of the comfort zone. Doing things that make your life fulfilling and meaningful. And that's what it was all about to me. It should make as much sense to a 40-year-old woman with 3 kids as it does to a 27-year-old man who's, you know, not finding purpose in his career. and that's what it was all about. And you know, if I can affect people in a positive way, that's the end goal. That's the dream. You know.
I reckon you are anyway, and I reckon more than just one person. Like, because even me following you, I run anyway, but even following you and seeing you're getting up, if you're doing a fucking 30-kilometre run, whatever it is, and even thinking about doing the 10 or 12 in the evening, it's like, fuck it, that fucker's doing it. Like, and he did it at 4 in the morning. Like, I'm thinking about doing it at 6 in the evening, right? And I think the big thing about it is, yes, like, I'd follow Goggins and like Rich Roll, this fella Jesse Itzler. There's a few guys I'd follow, ultra endurance fellas, Cameron Haynes, Courtney DeWalter, and all these people. When I did the marathon a couple of weeks ago, I listened to 2 podcasts throughout it. One was a Courtney DeWalter and one was a Goggins, purely because when I was doing it, I just wanted to be like, they were talking about doing 200-mile races, and I wanted to be like, okay, they're talking about doing 200-mile races, you can get through this 26 or whatever it is. But the thing I love about it, and the main reason I wanted to have you on, is I live in Middleton. You live in fucking Glanmire, 10 minutes down the road. All these people, I follow them, yes, what they're doing is great, but it's like Americanized, and they're 3,000 miles away. People I probably never meet in my lifetime. He lives in Glanmire, like, and like, you know, as you said, you were a car salesman. Like, you went from doing everyday stuff, or everyday, you know, living a
normal,
without shitting on anything, like a standard life or whatever.
Exactly,
to chasing. You know,
we're all living normal lives, and I'm living a normal life, my own version of normal life now. But it was just my old version of normal life was one that I wasn't finding meaning in. That's not saying that there's other guys that I used to work with that are selling cars and not finding meaning in it. It was a personal thing for me. But I do definitely. Thank you so much again for having me on. It really does. It really does make a difference, I think, when you can relate to somebody in any which way. If you can, like, that's why I've often related to Mike Tyson. He's a fighter, and he's had a very, very troubled and patchy history and things like that. He's suffered an awful lot with mental health difficulties and things like that over a period of time. And that again is, he's thousands of miles away, completely far removed from the life that I'm living. But if I had somebody that was more relatable to, you know, it might have been easier to form some sort of a mirror image, let's say.
Lovely. You mentioned fighting there, so you were previously a fighter. Muay Thai, I think, is the thing. So I don't know the name of this concept, but I'm just going to call it the Big Brother concept, right? So they say, right, is like underage kids and stuff who get picked for like sports squads and development squads as they grow up. So like at the age of like 12, 13, 14 and things like that. Very often kids like in January, February, March will often get picked because they're more developed. So like someone on the 1st of January, born on the 1st of January versus being born on the 31st of December, even though they're within the same year, and sports like are, you know, like under 13 or under 14 or whatever, even though they're in the same year, that person is practically a year more developed than this person, right? And the other people who often get picked are people who have big brothers, so they're a smaller brother of someone else, right? Let's say they might be born in September or something, but they have a bigger brother, and they've grown up playing sports with their big brothers at like you know, rugged sports out the back garden or whatever, like. So just to bring all that around, right? My comparison is, do you think the mental grit and the kind of mental fortitude that you have for running and stuff like that, do you think that fighting, to be a fighter, you have to be fucking
You have to be tough
hard.
mentally.
Like, how many people step inside a ring or an octagon? Very few, right? So you do need, I would imagine, a certain amount of mental fortitude. So do you think that fighting has helped you in, I suppose, shaping your mental frame when it comes to running, and that grit when it comes to running as well, in terms of getting through races and things like that?
100%. I was talking to my buddy Mark, the guy who does ultras. I know him from Thai boxing. So we're both fighters. He and I talked at length today about our love really for Thai boxing and what it was, and like how it was, like, you know, we almost think about it in rose tinted glasses, the way that we think about about Thai boxing, and like when in all reality it was like hellish training sessions after training sessions, diet to try and suck yourself down to this minuscule frame to hop on the weighing scale so you can be okay to fight. I'm 6'3". I'm walk around at around 82 or 3 kilos at the moment, and I'm quite trim. I used to fight at 69 kilos, so incredibly low weight. And the mental fortitude to get down to that weight, to train every single day, sometimes twice a day, and then to get in and fight another man who's putting his skills against mine, for sure. For sure, the mental fortitude that I've gained from years of fighting played a huge role in my ability to. That was the only reason I think that I got through the 100 miles race, was because I was completely underprepared, but I had something in me, what David Goggins calls the cookie jar, where he dips into the cookie jar, and I'm thinking about the title fights that I've had. I've went over to abroad and fought some of the best fighters in the UK, and I've done these things. Obviously, I'm able to do this. But for sure,
you built up that experience of mental grit,
big time.
Experiences, knowledge, I suppose.
Yeah, big time.
Is it something you're still interested in?
Yeah, I'm still interested in fighting. I'd never fight again.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with a benign cyst in my brain.
Okay.
So it's not dangerous in any way. Only that it's not advised that I really get hit in the head.
Yeah.
So so I don't really think I would never fight again. I have an interest in it, but I it's more of a passing fancy now. It's more of a passing fancy because I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence really anymore. I know that's a different type of violence. That's a consensual thing where two men are getting in to pit their skills against each other. And I still believe in that. Exactly. I still watch boxing. Very interested in heavyweight boxing at the moment.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's fantastic. It's great to see a revival in heavyweight boxing. You haven't really had it since kind of the 90s, really, with Tyson and Evander Holyfield and that. And I am very, very interested in it still, as a spectator, for sure. For sure,
So I suppose you have soccer in a while, right? But we have about 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to chat about your next goal and what you've put out there recently.
Yes.
That is the next goal. I'll let you talk through it.
Cool. I'm looking to break the record to run from Mizenhead to Mallinhead, so the length of the country. The current record is phenomenal. By the way, it's incredible. The old record was held for a long time. Actually, it was something like 3 days, 15 hours, and 50 minutes, or something like that. The new record that was set in 2017 was actually a fellow Cork man from Cove. Owen Keith is his name, and he set it in 3 days, 3 hours, and 47 minutes. Which is incredible. I ran 200 miles in just under 2.5 days. He ran 348 miles in just over 3 days.
Fuck.
It's as close to impossible as you can actually imagine.
It's back to the altar again, like.
It is. And that's what it kind of was about, really. It was about placing my body and mind on that altar again and seeing how much doubt and how much fear that I could take and. I do doubt it, and the thing is you were talking about accountability the other day. I posted up on my Instagram that I'm going to do it, and I continue to do so, and I continue to talk about it because I want everybody to know about it.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody to know that you shouldn't be afraid to
set yourself a challenge or set yourself a goal.
Yeah, this is a huge goal. This is absolutely near impossible. If you guys went to Paddy Power and put €100 on me not to do it, I wouldn't blame you because you're probably going to win. But the thing is after you go through the doubt and the fears, what's on the other side of that is class. It's unbelievable. And if you can reach that before you even do the goal, which I kind of did with the 200 miles, not fully, but when you are able to look at yourself in the mirror and all of the doubts are filled and your mind is filled with doubt and your mind is filled with fear and you still get your runners on and you still get outside the door and you still start running and you're there with it every single step, every single minute, the fear and the doubt is there and you're still saying, I'm still going to do it. That's where the real growth, the real purpose is on the other side of that. And that's why it was very, very important for me to go for the record and not just do it.
Yeah.
I know I could do it. It's just about mental fortitude. It would still be tough if I wasn't against the clock. But if I'm against the clock and I'm trying to aim for something, that's giving me the accountability. That's giving me the extra kick up the ass to say, this is the other side of it. Let's see what you're actually capable of doing.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
And sorry, no,
Go ahead.
have you set a date? Have you know?
I'm thinking September next year.
September
And I'm
next
thinking
year.
about starting on the 7th.
Okay,
So that way, if I was to break the record, I'd break it on my 29th birthday.
fucking nice one.
So that's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah,
It might be
could
stretched
change.
out to October
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't know yet. But I'm thinking, in and around that time. September, October, that kind of time next year. So I'll do a number of races. I plan on doing the Connemara 100 again this August on the 11th.
Yeah.
And I plan on doing a number of races. I'm moving to New Zealand in September. I plan on doing multiple races over there. There's plenty of them to do. So I will be racing, and I will be primarily training really and travelling over in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And then back home and get set for this.
Phenomenal. And you mentioned, is it from Mizenhead to Mallinhead or Mallinhead to Mizenhead? Where do you start, Donegal or Cork?
You see, the record is Cork to Donegal,
Oh, right, okay.
right?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to finish in Cork,
Be great, wouldn't it?
but I feel like if I'm really going to do it, I should do the record.
Yeah. I
The
agree.
record route,
I agree.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
the record route. Yeah, I should do
I
the
think you
record
have
route.
to. Like,
So,
without telling you what to do, but
yeah.
do you know,
Yeah,
for the
it's just
record,
like, you know, the thing is I'm not really worried about what anybody wants to say about any of these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I was to do the exact same route that this chap has done
Yeah.
and then beat it, it seems like it's more legitimized maybe. I don't know. It's like,
when
you
you
know,
put your
can
head in
take
the
it-
pillow, you know it, like, you know,
Yeah.
versus if you did the other way, it's like, I did beat it, but fuck it, like, I did
Yeah.
the other way around.
But
Yeah,
no one can
yeah.
take it from you either. Like, you know, no one can say, well, it was actually the other way he did it. Or,
Yeah.
You follow the
And
rules, like,
I'm
yeah.
not thinking, you know, that people would in any
Would-
way
exactly,
say
yeah,
those
yeah.
things. But it just seems to me to be right to him as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like if he is like any other, if this gentleman is anyway like, I actually added him on Facebook, but he hasn't accepted me. If he is like anybody else that I've met in the ultra endurance community, I'm fairly sure he probably wants me to beat it. Records are made to be broken, and I think that he would probably maybe like to take another stab at it then after that too.
Yeah.
So, doing it the way that he did it is very, very important.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it the way that he did it, and that's it. And I don't like following or conforming to anybody or anybody's idea about anything.
Yeah.
But I will do it that way.
Yeah.
For sure.
And just before we finish, I just want to
Yeah.
ask, when you do this, then when you set out to do it, is there certain people you want to? I know the last time you did it, you had your dad there, and that was your camp aide.
Yeah.
Similar again here, or would you look to have other people around you to kind of help you get through it?
Well, my dad, no matter what, he would be the chief crew member.
Yeah. He's your John Kavanagh, like, yeah.
He is, he's the John Kavanagh of this whole thing. Like, he's the Bobby Charlton, like, he's the Alex Ferguson, because he's as I said, he's been a military man his entire life. He's trained recruits. He's worked at the Brigade Training Centre.
Yeah.
He's been abroad in multiple different overseas missions. He knows how to plan stuff. He knows how to get things done, and he knows how to get the best out of human beings. So he's the perfect person to have as the chief guy. I would probably take maybe a physio on board, and I would probably take. There's a buddy of mine, Steve O'Mahony, who's a fantastic sports nutritionist. I might take him as well if he was there, and there's a few other people that I would like to take. It's going to be a slightly bigger crew because it's a very, very big scape.
like,
Exactly.
It's the entire country, so I'm going to probably have people stationed at different points.
Yeah.
To
You
help
want to
me
have the
do it.
best around you, like.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I want to give myself, I suppose, the best opportunity
Yeah,
to do it and not
absolutely.
half-ass it, you know,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and have no excuses.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't do it, it's on me, and
Yeah.
that's it. You know,
Yeah,
and it would always be like that anyway, regardless of it. But I want to have no excuses.
Yeah.
I want to be the best prepared guy that I could be when I do the race.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything
I think
else?
I think that rounds it up perfectly, to be honest. Conor, thanks a million for coming on,
Thank
first
you.
of all.
Inspiring,
Thanks for
I tell you,
speaking so
yeah.
openly and honestly as well.
Raw, yeah.
I think we've
Brilliant.
brought to one of our best
Yeah.
podcasts.
I think so
There,
many
like,
people will get something out of this.
Yeah.
Be it like not even if you're a runner or just put yourself in an uncomfortable position, do what you want to do, and just be happy. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the message people will take away
For
from
sure.
this. So
That's
be proud of
exactly it.
yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic.
So just to round it off before we finish, for the 200 mile race, you had a Pieta House link. If
Yes.
it's still active at this stage, so it'll be 10 days from when we're actually sitting down here now to when this is coming out.
Yeah.
But if people want to donate, they can
Yeah.
find that link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can go onto my Instagram page,
Yeah.
C O'Keeffe, COKEEFFE.
Yeah.
And the link should be in the bio
Okay.
there. It might be a link to my website at
Yeah.
that time
Yeah.
to ConorO'Keeffe.com, but there'll be a link to it on that as well anyway.
They'll find
to
it
get through
anyway,
to.
yeah.
And see.
And where can people follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram,
Instagram,
on CO Keeffe, and they can also, at this point in time, my website will be up and running on ConorO'Keeffe.com. They can subscribe. I'll be blogging every week, and they can subscribe. They'll get an opportunity to become part of an email list, and every time I blog, they'll be able to
To
read
get it in the inbox.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Brilliant stuff.
Connor, thanks a
Alright.
million, boy.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
guys.
Connor.
All right, appreciate
Nice
it.
one. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Cheers, boy.
Take
Cheers.
it easy.